she replied. Laughing, she added, "Well, his face even turned red, and that's not easy for a black man." "I'd have liked to have seen it," Costello laughed. A good-looking guy, Cleve Costello was the odd man out in this trio. He had gone to college, playing football for NC State University, and then spent 2 years at medical school. He was single, still lived with his mother, and thought the world of her. Had he wanted, he most likely could have made a living as a model. Suddenly, the radio speaker above their heads clicked and crackled, and Eppard's secretary, Terry, could be heard saying, "11, come in." Joyce pressed the transmit button on the microphone attached to her epaulette, then responded, "11 here." Lowering her voice, Terry offered, "You guys are in big trouble. You left this morning without signing your equipment checklist." Hearing this over his radio in the driver's cab, Sid slammed back the hatch behind Joyce's head. "Fuck them and fuck that black bastard Eppard," he shouted at Joyce. Covering her mouthpiece, Joyce shouted back at Sid, "You want to tell him? Then you tell him on your radio." Costello pressed his transmit button. "Terry, we were running late. We'll do it now over the radio, okay?" "Okay by me, but I don't know if Eppard will buy it," the secretary replied. As the speaker went dead, Costello shrugged and looked at Joyce. "We've been in hot water before." Joyce emptied the remains in her coffee cup back into the thermos. "Shit," she said. "I was listening to Sid and Eppard go at each other." She pointed to the clipboard on the seat by the door. "I put the checklist on the seat and forgot about it." Then the speaker came to life again. This time it was Eppard's unmistakable voice. "Listen, you guys, why do you think we have a checklist?" Again, Sid slammed open the hatch. Joyce spun around, her eyes locking on the hatch, challenging Sid. Eppard's voice blared again. "Well?" Joyce pressed her transmit switch. "We hear you, sir." She quickly released the switch. "That equipment you're carrying is for your safety and the safety of the millions of dollars you've got with you," Eppard fumed. "Now double-check all the equipment with Terry, cell phones, breathing apparatus, and everything else you've got on board. Right now, over the radio." "Got it, sir," Joyce responded. "And before you sign out today, I want to see all of you in my office. All of you. You got that?" It was Friday, the 8th of December. Eagle 11 would run Route 5. Washington, D.C., awoke slowly as Eagle 11 passed Union Station and headed down Louisiana Avenue. Traffic was thin, street and car lights still gleaming in the morning gloom. The truck turned right onto Constitution Avenue, continued past 17th Street, then hung a right up Virginia Avenue. Today's route took them north of the Potomac, on the airport run. After a few minutes, they passed under the freeway onto Canal Road, and then turned left and followed the river. The moment Eagle 11 passed the junction of MacArthur Boulevard, a city vehicle pulled across the road and placed a detour sign at the Canal Road junction. A similar sign had already been positioned 3 miles ahead at the junction of Reservoir Road. It wasn't unusual for Canal Road to be deserted at this early morning hour, but it was unusual for a heavy-duty crane to be lifting a container from a barge and then placing it on a tractor-trailer at the side of the road. A workman in a hard hat carrying a stop slow sign stepped out into the road, his back to Eagle 11. Joyce peered out through the fisheye spy hole on the near side of the truck, and Costello took a look out on his side. "Anything?" her partner asked. Joyce moved to the back door and peered out the bulletproof window. "Nothing." Costello slid back the hatch to the driver's cab. "What's going on, Sid?" Sid pointed through the windshield. "They're moving a container from a barge onto that trailer." They watched the arm of the crane lift the container high into the air. Suddenly it changed directions, swung out over the railway line, and hovered for an instant over Eagle 11. Unexpectedly, the arm plummeted down onto the roof of the security truck. The bottom of the container caved in as it hit the truck's roof, and it dropped to the ground, encasing Eagle 11. The man with the hard hat waved the stop sign toward the cab of the crane. The crane operator reacted. Joyce's head snapped around toward Costello when she heard the electromagnet clamp onto the roof. Sid hit the emergency transmitter switch. "We are under attack. Come in, base. I repeat, we are under attack," Sid yelled into his microphone. Sid shouted to Joyce and Cleve. "Can you see anything?" Joyce was punching numbers into her cell phone. Costello, looking back at Sid, had pulled out his gun. "It's black out there. They dropped something over us." Joyce gave up on the cell phone. "Whatever it is, our radio and phone signals are blocked." She dropped the phone and removed her gun from its holster. "They can't get in," Costello shouted. With those words, they were thrown off their feet as the truck was violently lifted into the air. "They're lifting us. Shit! They're going to put us on the trailer bed," Sid screamed. "They're going to cart us away, then take their time opening us up." The truck started to swing. Holding onto her seat, Joyce turned to Costello. "How long can we stay holed up in here?" Costello shook his head. "Time's on their side." "Fuck you, Costello. How long?" she spat out. Anyone watching in that early morning half-light would have seen a crane lift a container from a barge over to the road, change direction, and hovering over the water for a moment or so, return to the barge, placing the container on a flatbed. Moments later, a witness would have seen the trailer pull away, towing the flatbed. What the spectator would not have seen, the electromagnet, disconnect from Eagle 11, sinking the armored truck into the gray waters of the Potomac. The truck headed downward nose first, the cab hitting the soft bottom, sending up a cloud of silt as it slowly rolled onto its side. Sid scrambled into an upright position, his head against the hatch, as the emergency lighting flickered on. He looked through the hatch. "Are you two okay?" Joyce scrambled to her feet. Costello was on his hands and knees, looking up at her, the right side of his face awash with blood from a gash over his eye. He flopped back into a sitting position against the roof. Joyce bent to look at him. "Costello's cut over the eye." "I'll be all right," Costello offered, wiping blood from his eyes as he struggled to his knees. "The bastards tried to crack us open. They dropped us on the goddamn road." Sid, the first to realize what had happened, shouted back through the hatch. "We're not on the road. We're at the bottom of the fucking Potomac." Joyce scrambled to the back window. A diver was there. He waved to her, grinning through his mask. As Costello crawled to join her, they saw the diver pull himself along the cable at the side of the truck, then disappear into the clouds of silt. "Sid," Joyce yelled, "there's a diver out there." "There's another one on this side," Sid shouted back. Outside in the water, Hank looped a rope from one side mirror to the other. Holding onto the rope, he shone a light through the windshield at Sid. The windshield consisted of 2-inch thick, bulletproof glass. The sides of the truck 1-inch armored plating, and while it would be of no use to him, Sid pulled the riot gun from its rack. "What the fuck are those pricks up to?" he muttered. Joyce's face appeared at the hatch. "What are they doing?" Eddie swam quickly along another cable, arriving at a pile of equipment anchored some 20 feet from the truck. They'd assembled a welding torch, 3 oxygen-acetylene cylinders, and 2 small tubes. Eddie grabbed the tubes, swam his way to the roof of the truck. From his belt, he took a pair of wire cutters, snipped off the radio antenna, and placed one of the small cylinders over the antenna mount. Still fighting the current, he moved up to the cellular antenna and repeated the operation. Costello punched a number into the cell phone, holding it to his ear. "Anything?" Joyce demanded, panic revealed in her voice. "Nothing," Costello replied. "Just static." Joyce dropped the radio phone. "No radio? No cell phone." She slowly shook her head. "So much for state-of-the-art equipment." Sid's voice barked through the hatch. "No one knows where we are." Costello moved closer to the hatch. "There's a chance someone may have seen them grab us." Joyce shook her head. "I don't think they've left anything to chance. I don't think there was anyone on that road but us." Sid looked through the hatch at his fellow prisoners. It was cool in the truck, but he was sweating. Joyce turned to Costello. "How long can we last in here?" "The air is good for about 3 hours," he replied. Then Costello remembered the air tanks. "We have the air tanks. They're good for another 30 minutes each." "We have the spares," Sid added, a glimmer of hope in his voice. Joyce, less hopeful, slid down into the corner.